Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. When you go over the MLB game scheduled for Saturday, June 15th, 2024. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday, Major League Baseball. First up, the Oakland Athletics taking on the Minnesota Twins. We're going to see Joey Estes and Bailey Ober as your starters. And I think this is a pretty good matchup for Bailey Ober to put together a bounce-back start. You know, he's struggled recently, but he's also had a pretty tough strength of schedule. And now you face an Oakland A's team that we've mentioned has struggled mightily offensively in the last month. They're now 29th in baseball in team OPS against righties in the last 30 days, 29th in isolated power, 28.8% strikeout rate is very, very steep. It's number one in baseball for the highest. So I think Ober, while he may, I would see this as a similar outing as Joe Ryan had earlier in this series where he gave up the one home run, but other than that one mistake was pretty strong otherwise, and it was good enough for the Twins to win that game by 4 runs. I could see a 3-4 run victory for Minnesota in this one as well. I'm going to lay the 1.5 runs with the Twins. I think Ober bounces back. Joey Estes has been a bit inconsistent himself this year. We saw that last game, 8 base hits, 3 earned runs, and 2 home runs to the Padres. The Twins starting to heat up offensively. I like their chance to get to Estes. And even at the Oakland A's bullpen, which had a really good start to the year, guys like Mason Miller, starting to fall off a little bit recently. So I'm going to go with the Twins here and lay the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Chicago Cubs. Andre Pallante and Shota Imanaga are your projected starters. Now, I do think the Cubs have the much better starting pitching option in this game, but I still think there's value with the Cardinals in this spot because I like their bullpen and lineup a lot more in this matchup. And Pallante, even though I do think Imanaga is the better option, still, Pallante pitched well. I mean, that last game, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, a shutout ball, and a 5-1 Cardinals win in his last game. So he's been rather inconsistent. We saw in between 2 really good outings, that bad outing against the Houston Astros on June 4th. But I still think Pallante can give the Cardinals 5-6 decent innings. Imanaga, lefty. The Cardinals are starting to heat up against lefties. We already knew they had a really low strikeout rate. I think that could be an issue for Imanaga in this one. And like I mentioned, I do think the Cardinals have a big bullpen advantage in this series. So give me St. Louis. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. No official starter for the Blue Jays, but we should see Carlos Carrasco for Cleveland. I'm going to take the Blue Jays in the first 5 innings of this one. We'll see who the official starter is, but I don't love this Blue Jays bullpen, so I'd like to isolate it to the first 5 innings because Carrasco, we know he's not pitched too well this year, and ERA at 5.5. He's been a little bit better recently, but also not pitching deep into games. So, 2 runs given up, but only 4 2/3 isn't really a great outing. And I do think the Blue Jays, another team that's started to heat up offensively a bit. We see in the last 30 days now, top 15 in team OPS against righties, top 15 in isolated power, very low strikeout rate at 16.7%. I think they get to Carrasco, have the lead through the first 5, but the Guardians have arguably the best bullpen in baseball, so if it's a close game late, you could see them find, they've rallied so many times this year, and in recent years, I wouldn't be shocked to see them find a W there. So give me the Blue Jays in the first 5 innings in this one. So the Los Angeles Angels taking on the San Francisco Giants. No official starter for San Francisco, but I am seeing Keaton Winn listed on ESPN, so he could very well be the option, but Patrick Sandoval should be going for LA. And Keaton Winn, if he is a starter, he's obviously not pitched too well recently and overall this year, but he's also faced a really tough strength of schedule recently. Him and Logan Webb and Jordan Hicks, I would consider these guys Oracle Park pitchers where they pitch a lot better at home. And Winn has been on the road very often recently. He faced the Phillies on the road, the Rangers most recently. Then he had that game at Coors Field against the Rockies on May the 9th. And then in between that, he had 1 home game, but it was against the Los Angeles Dodgers, another great lineup. So Winn, now he gets to pitch at Oracle Park, where he's been a lot better this season. He faces a weak lineup in the Los Angeles Angels. He's got a lefty on the other side in Patrick Sandoval. So with the Giants crushing lefties, we could think that the Giants are going to get to Sandoval for a few runs and back up Keaton Winn in the run support department. And then you got the big advantage that the Giants have in the bullpen. So I'm going to go with San Francisco here on the money line and run line at Oracle Park. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals. Trevor Rogers and DJ Hertz are your starters, so a pair of lefties in this one. Obviously, 2 lefties that have struggled so far this year. Hertz with a small sample size, only 8 1/3 innings. But to me, while Trevor Rogers has that ERA still above 5 and the pretty ugly 1-7 record, I still think he's pitched a lot better recently than he did at the beginning of the season. I mean, even that last game against a pretty tough Guardians lineup, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, not too shabby for Rogers. And while he doesn't always pitch deep into ball games, I think he is the better option in this game. When you look at the fact that the Nationals have struggled pretty mightily against lefties offensively in the last month, I think there's value with the Marlins in a game like this. We know the Nationals have been one of the more profitable teams in baseball, but I think this is a spot where we're catching actually the better price with the fish on the other side. So give me the Marlins on the money line in this game. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Taijuan Walker and Grayson Rodriguez are your starters. Now, after a really hot start to the season where the Phillies picked up wins in 4 of the first 5 Taijuan Walker outings, they've now lost the last 3 of his starts. And while his last game was a step in the right direction where he went 5 2/3, a 2-run ball, just 1 out shy of a quality start, I still don't have a lot of faith in his game right now. And the Orioles have crushed right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. So when you've got a starting pitcher that's giving up a lot of sharp contact, home runs, extra base hits, the strikeout numbers are inconsistent, the control's inconsistent, I just think that the Orioles have a good matchup here offensively. And, Grayson Rodriguez has pitched really well this year, 7-2 record, 3.27 ERA, over a strikeout per inning, well above a strikeout per inning this season. And the home run ball, which was something he struggled with, before, not really an issue this year. 6 home runs in 63 innings. You'll take that all day long. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles in this game on the money line and run line. The Phillies are also not really crushing righties recently. When you look at the numbers in the last 30 days, they're number 24 in isolated power against right-handed pitching. So give me the Orioles on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We see Andrew Abbott and Bryce Wilson as your starters. Now, we mentioned the regression concerns for Bryce Wilson's game, and we saw that in the last one against the Tigers. 7 earned runs given up in 4 1/3 innings in a 10-2 blowout loss. I don't really love Wilson in this spot against an improving Reds lineup. And Andrew Abbott, while it's a tough matchup because the Brewers hit lefties well, he has pitched really well recently. That last game, 5 innings, a 1-run ball, 5 strikeouts in a victory for Cincinnati. The Reds have won now 3 of his last 4 games. He hasn't faced the Brewers yet this year. He faced them plenty of times at the beginning of his rookie year last year, and he actually, 4 times in the first 2 months of his rookie campaign, which is never easy to do. Really, in 3 of those 4 outings, he was excellent. Just the one game, he struggled quite a bit, and that was a loss. But other than that, he was really strong against Milwaukee last year, and I think he pitches well enough for the Reds to grab a W. Give me Cincinnati in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Houston Astros. We see Jack Flaherty and Justin Verlander as your starting pitchers. Verlander so far in the month of June, not in great form. 4 earned runs apiece in 5 innings apiece in his first 2 games. One of those was an Astros victory. The other one a loss to LA and a walk-off. But, 10 innings, 8 earned runs, 3 bombs, the 7.2 ERA, less than a strikeout per inning. We've seen the inconsistencies in Verlander's game this year. We saw it at the beginning of the season where he pitched the rehab starts in the minor leagues. He really wasn't in great form. It's why I was worried about him going into the regular season. He pitched well at the beginning, had that miserable start against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, settled in nicely, pitched well towards the end of May. But like I said, in the start of June here, against some pretty weak lineups, he has not done too well. And Jack Flaherty on the other side has pitched really well for Detroit recently. 3 earned runs or fewer in all of his last 5 starts. His strikeout numbers are there, keeping the ball on the ground. I got to go with the Detroit Tigers in this game on the money line. I think these are 2 pretty similar offenses against righties, 2 similar bullpens. I think Flaherty's just right now in better form compared to Verlander, so give me the Tigers. Next up, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Ryan Pepiot and Charlie Morton as your starters. 2 starting pitchers, very similar ERAs, 4.17 for Pepiot, 4.12 for Morton. Both starting pitchers, have been a little bit inconsistent recently. Pepiot, 4 earned runs given up in that last game. Same thing for Morton, 4 earned in 5 innings of work against the Nationals. For me, Pepiot's been a lot better on the road this year. He's actually been struggling mightily at Tropicana Field with a 5.36 ERA, but on the road, 1.5, and he's 3-0 in those starts on the road. 18 innings, 26 strikeouts, no walks given up, and only 1 home run compared to 7 home runs at Tropicana Field. Morton, on the flip side, he has struggled more so at Truist Park at home with an ERA of 4.59. So the splits do benefit Pepiot in a game like this. Both of these lineups have not been great against righties in the last 30 days. Both of these bullpens have been a little bit inconsistent as well. I'm going to take a shot here with the Rays because we're getting such a good price with Tampa Bay on the money line. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Adam Mazur and Jose Quintana as your projected starters. For me, while Mazur's not pitched too well in his first few outings at the major league level, he still is one of the better pitching prospects in this Padres organization. And I still don't love this Mets lineup. And with Quintana on the other side, I think San Diego has the advantage. I mean, Quintana has struggled mightily this year with an ERA above 5, a 1-5 record. Now, he's been better at Citi Field, but not by enough. And also in his recent starts at Citi Field, like the game against Arizona on June 2nd, he only went 4 innings, gave up 4 base hits, 3 runs, 2 home runs. Before that against the Dodgers, it was a quality start, but he had 2 home runs and 8 base hits in another 3-0 Mets loss. So, his recent games at Citi Field have not been excellent, and the Padres, I think, have the much better bullpen in this game, in this series. They're improving a bit against lefties. I'm going to go with San Diego on the money line in this one. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. Carlos Rodon and Cooper Criswell are the projected starters. Now, I don't love the fact that Carlos Rodon's strikeout numbers have been all over the place this year. He has less than a strikeout per inning overall this season. He only had 3 Ks in 7 innings against the Royals in that last one. I consider him a strikeout-dependent starter, so if he's not missing bats, I do worry about him overall, but he's still in great form. He's pitching well. The ERA is sub 3. The expected numbers may not be the sharpest, but I think he's the better option in this game. And, the Red Sox, we know from the beginning of the season, their strikeout rate against lefties has been through the roof. Right now, in the last 30 days, 27%. So this is a good spot for Rodon to miss some bats and put together another good outing. I expect him to pitch pretty well. And Cooper Criswell, not in great form, not pitching deep into games. The Yankees, we know, a very potent lineup against righties. So I'm going to go with the Yankees on the money line and run line in this one. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Seattle Mariners. Nathan Eovaldi and George Kirby are your starters. I like both starting pitching options in this game. I'm going to go with the under. We know Nathan Eovaldi, has battled some injuries this year, but still pitching well overall with a 2.68 ERA. That last game against the Giants, 7 innings, 2 runs in a 7-2 Rangers victory. Kirby's been a lot better at T-Mobile Park this year. On the road, an ERA above 5, just below 5, but at home, a 2.72 ERA in 36 1/3 innings, 42 strikeouts, very low opponent's batting average, only 1 home run given up. So I trust Kirby at home here. Give me the under in Mariners Rangers. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Seth Lugo and Yoshinobu Yamamoto are your starters. I think the Royals struggle here against Yamamoto. He's in great form. I mean, even against the Yankees, if arguably the best lineup in baseball against righties, Yamamoto went at Yankee Stadium, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs. He's just in great form right now. So even though the Royals are a solid young lineup, I don't love their matchup here against Yamamoto. And Lugo, that last game against the Yankees, 4 earned runs in 7 innings. We know he's a very efficient starting pitcher. Doesn't really, the pitch count doesn't usually rise on him early. But even in the last 2 games where he's pitched 6 and 7 innings, he's given up a combined 9 earned runs and 2 home runs. So you can be as efficient as you want, but if you're giving up base hits and earned runs, it's tough to win ball games. Now, Lugo's been excellent overall this year. He's been a profitable starting pitcher, but I don't love his current form, and I don't love the matchup here against the Dodgers. Give me the Dodgers here laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Colorado Rockies. Jared Jones and Ty Blach are your starters. I'm going to lean towards the Pirates in this one, but I am a little bit hesitant because this is a young starting pitcher in Jared Jones. His rookie year, little to no Coors Field experience. We know this is usually a spot where the Rockies do pretty well, and we can get pretty good prices with Colorado. Ty Blach's been solid at Coors Field this year. Honestly, it does set up to be a decent spot for the Rockies, but I still think Jones' ability to miss bats, earn strikeouts, the Rockies, weak bullpen, arguably the worst bullpen in baseball, and the fact that the Pirates have had success offensively at Coors Field in the past, it does still push me in the direction of the Buccos in the end. So a game I'll be staying away from, watching as a fan rather than a bettor, but I'll be leaning towards the Pirates in this one on the money line. And the final game we're to talk about for the Saturday card in Major League Baseball, the Chicago White Sox and the Arizona Diamondbacks. No official starter for Arizona, but we should see Eric Fedde going for Chicago. I'm going to go White Sox first 5. Fedde was excellent in that last game against Seattle. Really deserved to get the W in that game. He went 7 innings, 1 run, only had 4 strikeouts, but did a great job of keeping the ball on the ground. And then, of course, it was the 4-run 8th and 4-run 9th inning debacle in that one for the White Sox bullpen. They lose on the walk-off grand slam. But Fedde, he's been solid in the first 5 innings. We saw that in the previous game against the Cubs, where Fedde set up the White Sox very well. He, through the first 5 innings, they had a 5-3 lead. And then the White Sox bullpen blew it in the end. So that's why I'm going to go White Sox first 5. Don't trust this White Sox bullpen right now. Give me Chicago first 5 money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.